Good afternoon, everybody. Can I ask that the live stream be started, please? Thank you very much indeed. Well, welcome to the first meeting of the Marches Joint Committee being held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024. For those of us present in the room, if the fire alarm goes off, please follow Jonathan, I imagine, but go to the nearest exit and proceed to the assembly area in the car park. So the agenda papers for this afternoon and other relevant information are available for public viewing on the Herefordshire Council website, and the Council is streaming this meeting live on the Herefordshire Council YouTube channel and is making a recording of this. To ensure that the recording quality is maintained, please speak as clearly as possible and keep background noise to a minimum, and please ensure that mobile phones and other devices are turned to silent. Others are permitted to film, photograph and record our public meetings, providing that it does not disrupt the business of the meeting. There are no members of the public present, so I will move on from that one. Voting will be undertaken by a show of hands in the room, and only committee members present may vote. For participants in the room, please use the microphones to speak, because that's how we can hear you online. We do have a number of people in attendance as virtual participants, and I will go around the room in a moment. And can I request that you use the raised hand function within the system if you wish to contribute? So, I think it might be good, as this is our first meeting, because we do have members and officers, we don't have members rather, but we do have officers online. So I'm going to start online actually. Mark Barrow, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's Mark Barrow, Exec Director of Place at Shropshire Council.
Thank you very much, Mark. Govin?
Hi all, I'm Govin Odler. I'm the Marches in Worcestershire area lead for cities and local growth. So it's a joint unit between DLUC and the DBT.
Thank you very much indeed. And then in the room.
Thank you. It's Roger Allenby. I'm the Service Director for Economy and Growth here at Herefordshire Council.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Chair. Ross Cook, Corporate Director for Economy and Environment, also from Herefordshire.
Okay, Catherine.
Thank you, Chair. Catherine Kinniston. I'm Director of Housing, Employment and Infrastructure at Telford and Wrekin Council.
Thank you very much indeed. And then we have our excellent support team over here. Would you like to introduce yourselves? I think that's important as it's the first meeting.
Yeah, John Coleman, Democratic Services Manager.
Thank you.
Henry Max Murgatroyd, Democratic Services Officer.
Thank you.
I'm Joelle Higgins and I'm Democratic Service Assistants.
Thank you very much indeed. And the three members present this afternoon to my left.
Councillor Lee Carter, Cabinet Member for the Economy and Place, Telford and Wrekin Council, substitute for Councillor Sean Davis, Leader of Telford and Wrekin.
And to my right.
Jonathan Lester, Leader of Herefordshire Council.
And my name's Leslie Picton and I'm the Leader of Shropshire Council. So, moving on to the agenda, item number 1 is apologies for absence, and I don't believe we have any apologies, although I can't see James Walton, who is the Section 151 officer for this committee, but hopefully he'll be able to join us in a while. Item number 2, declarations of interest. I don't believe we have any declarations of interest today. Item number 3, transfer agreement and terms of reference. So, is it going to be you? Thank you very much indeed.
It is, thank you, Councillor Picton. So just by way of introducing the paper for the decision today. In August last year, central government made a decision to no longer fund local enterprise partnerships as their main delivery vehicle for a range of functions, including economic development, and for those functions to transfer to upper tier local authorities instead, on the basis of their mainly driven by the then locally democratically elected organisations could focus those functions locally, unless local authorities decided to continue with the local enterprise partnership. So the basis of the decision before you today is from that decision from government to consider and hopefully approve a transfer agreement which takes the functions from the Marches Local Enterprise Partnership as has been and places them at the responsibility of this joint committee of the 3 local authority areas of Shropshire, Herefordshire and Telford and Wrekin. The transfer agreement has been developed over the last few weeks with thanks to the officers and board of the local enterprise partnership for lots of work over quite a condensed period in order to minimise disruption to the services that are being delivered to support businesses and the economy across the Marches area. In brief, summary of the functions that are due to transfer. They are the Growth Hub Business Support Service, which has been led by the Local Enterprise Partnership, but in consultation and engagement and support from the local enterprise, from the local authorities. The Marches Careers Hub Service, which is still due to continue through until August this year. The Key Account Management Service for engagement with foreign-owned businesses and investment, and then the Programme Management function for the contracts, which have been granted by the Local Enterprise Partnership, but and managed with Shropshire Council as the accountable body for the Local Enterprise Partnership, and Shropshire Council will, with thanks to them, continue in that important role. And that's all outlined within the transfer agreement. And then within the transfer agreement itself, where there are any activities that the legacy income or residual funds from the transfer agreement sets out that those funds will be held for economic development activity within the continued Marches LEP area, with oversight from this joint committee. So in effect, we will look to the joint committee will look to continue the good work and legacy of the local enterprise partnership through utilising some small amounts of money, legacy monies, to continue to support economic development activity across those three local authority areas overseen by this joint committee. The transfer agreement has been worked on, again, with thanks to the various legal representatives, both from the LEP and the local authorities, and is now at a point of finalisation ahead of the Marches LEP board's due to be last meeting on the 12th of March. What we have in terms of recommendations here for the joint committee to please consider today are that we agree to the transfer agreement so that those functions can be transferred before the end of March, when the LEP will continue to cease operating, and to meet the government requirements for those functions to be transferred from April next year. And then in terms of section B of the recommendations, it's to delegate to the executive directors, officers, to make any final tweaks to the agreement in order for it to be signed. And then a revision to the terms of reference of this joint committee, which has been circulated as an appendix, to reflect the fact that we're taking on some additional responsibilities in that oversight role, both for the future funding and some of the legacy contracts. And then, in effect, the final one is around post this decision, coming up with an agreement between the local authorities as to how we manage some of those operational functions. So that's what we'd please like you to consider today.
Thank you very much, Nigel. I'd like to add my thanks, and I'm sure I speak for Jonathan and Lee here as well, to the officers and to the staff of the LEP, because this has been pulled together and it's no small amount of work, so I do add my thanks to that. Jonathan, Lee, anything from you on here? Lee first?
Yeah, just to echo your thanks really to the officers who've been involved in this. I know it's been an extremely complex negotiation, complex project, extracting this from the LEP, which has seen some fantastic achievements over the number of years it's been in existence. A great tribute to the partnership working that's existed across the three areas, I think. And clearly it's been complex by virtue of it not just about ensuring that legacy continues, but at the same time ensuring that duty that we've got to continue delivering some of the projects that are outlined, and ensuring that they all benefit our respective communities. So just place on record Telford and Wrekin's thanks in that respect, really.
Thank you, Lee. Jonathan?
Yes, thank you. I echo all of those comments, and thank officers for working with the local enterprise partnership to make sure that the transition arrangements are now in place for us to agree. A lot of hard work, as we've said, but also just to reflect, really, I suppose it's appropriate for us all to go on record to thank the local enterprise partnership for all of the work they've done over those years. And there will be the final meeting next week, and I'm sure LEP members, past and present, should be proud, and I'm sure they are proud of all the contributions that they've made and the decisions that they've made, and to all of the hardworking staff that have helped and made the LEP contribution what it turned out to be. So I would just like to go on record in this meeting to thank all of those people who've dedicated many months and years of their lives to ensuring that there's economic investment in the three areas that the LEP covers. And so thanks to all of them. And I think this transition agreement, we're there, and we should approve it forthwith. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan, and I'd especially like to thank the LEP staff. Let's be honest, it's been tricky over the last few months for them, and they've acted, with real intent, and I do thank them for that. Okay, I'm happy if you are to take the recommendations on block, recommendations A and B. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So there are no abstentions and nobody against. So moving on to item number 4, which is business representation. Catherine, I think you're going to lead on that one.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. We absolutely recognise this is a key function that's transferring over from the marches, and also a key area of success. They've driven this very hard and shown a huge commitment to ensuring that voice of business. But there's clearly a commitment coming through the transfer agreement from all of the authorities to continue that and to build on that legacy. Government has taken the decision to focus business engagement at the local level, and that indicates our, and plays to our ability to ensure that representation, that engagement of that function, and to align investment to local need, which I think is a critical issue. Ensuring the conditions for growth is clearly critical to all the authorities. It's delivering jobs, supporting regeneration, bringing investment into the economy. We've had to move quickly to establish the joint committee and to enable the transition after the government's decision. And we are, as I say, fully committed, I know, across the 3 authorities to working with the private sector. Each area has an established business representation group, which has fed into the LEP to date. So in Telford, we've the Telford Business Board, and now a new Invest Telford partnership. I know in Shropshire, a very well-established economic partnership, and the same in Herefordshire, where I know is a review also going on in terms of ensuring alignment with government guidance to move forward. We intend that the business representative boards will be fully engaged and consulted on any of the key decisions of the joint committee. And the joint committee, as we've talked about, has been established for that transition period. And importantly, while we wait for government guidance on the future role and funding and direction in terms of how we take services forward. The March's strategic economic plan was adopted only last year and remains the overarching plan for the March's area. It's one that we've all fed into. We also have, across all 3 authorities, adopted economic strategies, adopted in all cases within the last 12 months, and those reflect very much the foundations of the March's economic plan, and then layer on the local priorities for each of our areas. But there is enormous alignment between those plans. So in the short term, we see the March's economic plan providing that overarching strategy, with the 3 individual plans providing that local detail and the joint committee oversight. Just briefly then, in terms of business support, again, throughout the tenure of the LEP, all 3 authorities have resourced local business support and inward investment teams, and those remain in place and will continue. The LEP has operated a website and a referral system, but hasn't provided direct business support. That has come through the authorities, and we see no change in that. Again, we wait government guidance on the future of growth hubs and the funding to follow. We have, in the short term, ensured through the transfer agreement a seamless transfer of the Growth Hub website and brand. That's come across to Shropshire Council as the accountable body and will be supported by Herefordshire and Telford and Wrekin, and we see that continuing to operate, and very much about hiding the wires, so those businesses who are being supported and will be supported going forward, don't need to be aware or involved in any of the sort of joint arrangements, but we will make that journey seamless from them. Again, from a Telford and Wrekin point of view, we've already prepared the ground in terms of a rebrand of our business support function and website and so forth. We all have UK SPF programmes as well, which are well established into their second years of delivery, and will continue to provide that sort of grant and other forms of business support for the business community. So I think fully recognise the fantastic work that the LEP has done around this, but every confidence that through the local focus and the structures that we already have in place, and indeed as we've touched on the joint working and the relationships that we have across the three authorities, that we will drive that forward over the coming months. Thank you, Chair.
Mark, did you want to just say something on behalf of the Economic Partnership in Shropshire?
Certainly, Chair. So we've been sharing the development of this with the Shropshire Economic Partnership. We've been including them in kind of development in parallel. Leslie also sits on that board as well. And it's certainly in our intent to channel our activity in this sense through the Economic Partnership. Worth mentioning also that's private sector led, and it's also providing the governance for UK shared prosperity framework allocations as well. So in some ways, we're really bringing that together for us. And we're looking forward to, and I'm not sure if Govin, maybe if I want to pull him into an AOB item, Chairman, to confirm that future funding. We're working with those people transparently to demonstrate what we're doing with what resources are available here.
Thank you very much, Mark. Did you want to make any comments about your...
Yes, absolutely. We're in the process of establishing an economic place board, and then that will, economy in place board, and then that will ensure that there's a structure there for business engagement, which is absolutely paramount to that whole project. But I don't know, Ross or Roger, if you wanted to give more detail.
Thank you, Councillor Lester. So we've adopted a economic plan last year and are looking to develop a new board to kind of bring together place shaping and business support activities, including business representation. We have an existing Herefordshire Business board in place, which has been feeding into the LEP structure for a number of years. What we are doing is just taking some time to consider the government guidance that's come out around the LEP transition, just to make sure that that board and the business representative board is fully meeting that kind of guidance in terms of the roles that it's suggested that they have in terms of influence in the work that we all do, but also that there's a kind of an open and transparent way of everybody being able to be involved with that board should they wish to. So we're just going through the process at the moment of looking at the guidance, working very amicably with the board to look at how we can then kind of take those kind of next steps forward. But that's business representation will absolutely be at the core of the work we do here, but also the work of the Economy in Place board, which has been brought together really to enhance that private sector engagement in the work that we do.
Thank you very much, Nigel. I think we've all said before and again today that we're absolutely committed to ensuring the voice of business is heard, because I know that was one worry that the LEP partnership had, but I can only speak from my own experience of the economic partnership that we have in Shropshire, which, as Mark said, has brought everything together and actually makes it stronger in a sense, I believe. So anyway, we will continue with that. Thank you, Catherine, for that, by the way. Item number 5, any other business. Now, up until 2 seconds ago, we didn't have any other business that I had been notified of, but Govin, would you like to update us?
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I'm just coming back off Roger's point first, and then I'll go through the update. One is sort of happy to engage with anyone who wants a bit more of a steer on that sort of business voice side of things. If we want to do a sort of offline chat sort of going forward to give a bit of a steer on that, and I think embodied with it, I think government are very keen to see a sort of collective voice being sort of filtered up. If it does get filtered up through the joint partnership, that's fine, but they need some overview that sort of pushes everything together on that front as a bit of a summary. I think that's what internally we're sort of keen on seeing. Going to Mark's point, sorry, I can't really be more helpful on that, but in terms of Growth Hub funding and specific core funding, once an announcement's been made, then that will be that's basically the announcement that will come out. Currently, can't give any more sort of info until it comes out from a ministerial standpoint. Sorry about that, but I will update as soon as we do get as soon as things are a bit clearer on our end.
Okay, thanks very much, Govin. Thank you very much. So moving on to item number 6, which is future meetings, and I think they're going to flash up on the screen any moment. But we have a series of meetings. I think we said that we would sort of meet relatively frequently to start off with and then see how it goes. So those are the dates that are currently in the diary, and I'm happy with those apart from the August one, but that's another conversation. Councillor Lester.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think I'd have to check with Mr. Coleman, but I think the 16th of May might be a cabinet meeting for my administration. So there might be a problem there, and you know, sending a representative when all of my cabinet would be at that meeting would be a problem. And then I'm with you, Chair. August, I know that I'll be more than likely be on leave. So I think my suggestion would be not to have an August meeting. Yes, have regular meetings, but not an August meeting.
I think it's just a matter of coming back and checking that we can all make those. And I think, if I'm right, that we're going to try and do this in different areas, which is good for you and I, Councillor Carter, because we won't have had the hour-and-a-half journey. No, I'm only joking. I just felt very bad that I was left here on my own with my officers being on a Teams meeting. But I will get that dig in a number of times, Mr. Barrow. So brilliant. Okay, so if we can check those and then perhaps send out those diaries, because I have a feeling that that may well be a difficult date for us as well as the May date. So if we can check that. So with nothing else on the agenda, I'm going to formally close this meeting.